Okay, welcome to the Geek Easy, fellow geeks. Let's grab a beverage of your choice. Because today, second one today, we are going to be going over, and of course, this has to happen. I am going to be going over my top 5 werewolf movies. My 2 favorite creatures from Creature Features. And this time there is no bonus ones. It's just going to be the top 5. And number 5 is sort of a cheat. Because... oh, you'll see in a second. And going with a series... Underworld. Okay. And yes, the central character in this movie is a vampire. But there are also... it is about a war between vampires and werewolves. And the werewolves in this one are pretty cool. So you have Celine, played by, I think it's probably the most beautiful woman in the world, Kate Beckinsale, who happens to be a death dealer in the war, vampire in the war against Lycans, as they call in this one. And she sees that, she's following some Lycans and sees they're following a human. And she's trying to figure out why they're after a human, and it goes into this whole big thing, and it's a really, really, really good movie. And the werewolves are pretty cool in this one. I remember seeing this back when it came out, and I've watched all of them. I have them all in my collection. But then, number 4, Wolfen. It has... what is his name? Gregory Hines. That's it. He plays coroner. There's also a cop. They're doing some investigating on some murders, and it turns out they're werewolf murders. And I think it's a little lesser known one from like the early 80s. I think Edward James Olmos is in it. Pretty suspenseful movie. Then number 3. Surprisingly, how many times he shows up on my lists in these movies. It was on at least one of my vampire movies. When he's on a werewolf movie too. Silver Bullet with Corey Haim, based on the Stephen King book The Cycle of the Wolf. Cycle of the Wolf or Cycle of the Werewolf. It's called Silver Bullet. Okay, so what happens is there's this little town in Maine, obviously. Everything with Stephen King always takes place in Maine. And once a month, every month, there are these brutal murders. And the story is told through the eyes of a young girl and her family, and then she has a brother who is in a wheelchair, and that is Corey Haim. They have an uncle, a crazy uncle, who is Gary Busey. This is before he actually went crazy. This was just pre-crazy Gary Busey, and he was still kind of crazy. But plays the crazy drunk uncle. And the girls and the boy, they figure out at some point that it is a werewolf that is killing everybody in town, doing all the killings, and they go about trying to figure out who the werewolf is. A very good movie. I don't know why it's... I mean, I've seen it on a few people's lists. It's usually a lot lower than this. Sometimes it doesn't even break the top 10 on people's lists, but I have this as number 3. And number 2. This is one of my favorite werewolf movies ever. It's a fantastic movie in general, and it should get one hell of a lot more, much more attention than it does. And I don't see why it doesn't, because it is one creepy ass werewolf movie, and this is called Wolf. It has Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer, James Spader, Christopher Plummer, Fraser's brother, Edward Hyde White, I think it is. Just really cool names. And, this is... Jack Nicholson plays this kind of a meek book editor who is on the declining end of his career. And Christopher Plummer plays a guy who's taken over their editing, the book firm, and he's looking to phase people out. And, so Jack Nicholson is coming back from a road trip to Connecticut to talk to some author, and on the way back at night he hits a wolf in the road, and he gets bit by the wolf because he thought it was dead, and the wolf bites him. And so for the rest, this movie is kind of a slow burn, because at first, just like, okay, so he's going about dealing with all the shit that's going on in his life. But then he begins to start noticing these changes. He's getting this better sense of smell. He's hearing is better. He's feeling better. He's got more energy. And he starts to realize that there's something wrong. And so it's not, it's over the month of time that, in between. And oh my God, is it just, it gets to the point where you want to see, how creepy Jack Nicholson can be, right? This goes with Jack Nicholson being full creepy, or almost full creepy, but pretty damn full creepy. And it's all practical, You don't have stuff in masks. You don't have, a lot of CGI and things like that. This is all practical stuff. And he does a really great job. Oh, and Michelle Pfeiffer, in case you haven't noticed, she's right there on the cover. Oh, good movie. Really good movie. If you have not seen that movie, you need to watch it, especially if you like werewolf movies, if you like Jack Nicholson movies, if you like werewolf movies with Jack Nicholson in it, which this probably happens to be the only one, you need to get it. And then, of course, my number 1 all-time favorite werewolf movie, American Werewolf in London. You have 2 guys, Jack and David, going on a walking trip through London. They come across a little... It gets dark, it's raining, so they go into this little tavern, slaughtered lamb, and it says, it's full moon, and they're like, "Yeah, dude, you can't stay here." They have a big star on the wall. And, kids get sent back out on the moors and get attacked by a wolf. One dies, the other one doesn't. And so and he wakes up 3 weeks later in the hospital. So there's a week's period. This movie pretty much covers a week's period of, build up to whether or not this guy is going to turn into a werewolf or not. And once it happens, it's all out. And this is just a freaky movie. Pretty funny at times, too, because you have John Landis doing the movie. He was the guy from Blues Brothers, Animal House, all these different movies. So there's humor in it, and also scares. So it's when they did The Lost Boys, they asked Joel Schumacher, "This is a horror movie or is this a comedy?" And he said yes. This kind of did it first, and it's great. And I'm telling you, it won an Academy Award for the transformation scene. What he wanted to do, Rick Baker did this movie, and he wanted to have a fully in the light transformation scene. Because usually up to that point, especially with the old Universal or Hammer ones, they camera down and see the feet get all hairy, come back up, the guy changed. They never really showed the change. And this one, they showed the change. And if you've seen what I'm talking about, it is incredible. And it still holds up today. This came out like 1980. And so that's how long ago this movie was. And it still holds up today. And it deserves that Academy Award and changed things forever with the werewolf movies. But anyway, those are my top 5 favorite werewolf movies. And let me know what you think below, what you think of them. If you have any suggestions, like, subscribe, and most of all, beware of the moon.